Okay, we all ready?
Okay.
Ahar. Ahar, me hearties. We're going to be pirates.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
The fact you've got a bee in there.
ahar, let's be pirates. So this is basically, this is my favourite book I've read this year, Be More Pirate. Right? I think it's a business book. Sorry? No, I haven't read yours yet. You're right. That is true, of course. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go through a few of the key points, and there's a couple of exercises. There's a few exercises in here that we're going to look at least one of them, maybe two of them, see how the time goes. And I think you'll find some new information and some useful parallels with what BeColl is about. So what do we know about pirates? A guy called Sam Conniff Alendi.
Weren't pirates really criminals? They're only got one eye.
Right, anything else?
No, not all of them.
Were they criminals? Yeah, possibly criminals. Possibly criminals.
They were
What else do we know about them? What other things do we know?
Mostly on the sea.
prostitutes.
They stole
Look
stuff.
outside of the law.
They have hooks, right? They have,
They work outside the law.
yeah. And I'm thinking like more popular things, like like
Robbers on the high
They
street.
had parrots.
parrots, exactly that sort of thing. Pieces of 8,
They look for treasure.
Hook.
Treasure maps.
Right, treasure mats, buried treasure, right? Yes. Most of it is rubbish.
They drank rum. Yes.
They drank rum. They did drink rum. That is true. They did drink rum.
One eye, one arm, one hand and one leg.
Yeah.
Boy.
So this is all about. So what he's done is looked at the golden age of pirates, right? Which is when there are lots of pirates around, basically, and so that finishes 1720. Robinson Crusoe was written in 1740-ish, something, I think. And so most of the stuff we know about pirates is made up by Robert Louis Stevenson. Quite a lot of it was. And unsurprisingly, a lot of stuff that we know about pirates, like they were criminals, you said. Well, actually, depended whether they had, I forgot what they're called now, whether they were being employed by the government or not. Right, so Elizabeth I was known as the Pirate Queen because she had all these pirates who were under license to go and rob the Spanish as long as they gave her some of the gold. And when they went on freelance, suddenly they were pirates and villains. So lots of other things as well. They were like murderous thugs and bloodthirsty, and actually they didn't really kill anybody.
They're very nice people.
They weren't exactly. I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but a lot of what we've been told about pirates isn't really true.
It's a bit like Vikings, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, history is written by the victors. So the Royal Navy eventually killed all the pirates and hung them and said they were nasty people. And certainly some of them were, but a lot of stuff wasn't. So, so the truth about pirates. So some of the things you might not have known. So most pirates came out of the Royal Navy because the Navy didn't need them anymore. So they got all these. They might have been press ganged. So they might not have wanted to be in the Navy. They would have been treated quite brutally, badly fed, keel-hauled, thrashed, quite often not paid. The captain was a complete tyrant on the ship, was allowed to do whatever he liked as long as he did what the Navy wanted him to do. So they came out of that and they formed their own pirate ships, and they decided they were going to do things differently. So they had democracy. Right? Now, democracy didn't really exist. This is before the before the Declaration of Independence, before French Revolution. We were all serfs in this country. We were just, so every pirate had a vote, right? They introduced a system of dual governance. So on a pirate ship, the captain and the quartermaster had equal say. The captain was responsible for strategy, like we're going to go and take that ship over there. And the quartermaster was responsible for the voice of the crew and the culture. Okay? And they could be voted out by the crew. So if the captain was unpopular, the crew could vote him out and have someone else as captain. So pirate ships are very diverse and completely equal. So women were allowed to be pirates as long as they could fight as well as the men. Lots of black slaves became free men as pirates. And they even had a thing called matelotage. So where two pirates got very, very friendly, they could actually have a formal relationship, like a marriage ceremony. and be treated as a couple.
What's that mean? Marriage.
It was this particular form of union, so it was recognised that these two men were an item, and there was a ceremony, and it would affect other things as well. They had injury payouts, right? So if a pirate got his arm chopped off or his leg chopped off, there was a fixed payment for that and various injuries, you know. And he would also, quite often, they'd be given other roles on the ship. So if they couldn't fight, they'd be allowed to become the cook or something like that.
Who paid that? Who paid the payout?
Like, he was paid out of the treasure.
Right.
So we'll come to a bit later on exactly how it works. But basically, when they took a ship and they split the money up, things like this would be paid out first.
Right, okay.
And then after that, then the rest would be shared. Inheritance. So they allowed, if a pirate got killed, then his wealth would be passed on to his family or to his matelotage mate.
I like that.
And they had complete transparency and accountability, right? So everything was completely open, and the accountability was if you broke the rules, you were going to get sorted by the crew. Okay, so this is a very different picture to the one that's generally painted about pirates, and they're actually, you know, beacons of forward thinking in many ways.
And you learned all this from that book?
Oh yeah, there's loads more of it in there.
Okay.
So all of this was encapsulating the pirate code. Okay, so you might remember this from the films, you know, that being nailed on the mainmast or whatever. But so for each mission, the pirate code would be reformulated to, you know, adapt with whatever they were trying to do and who was actually involved. And it was simple, clear, and memorable. So because a lot of the people were illiterate, then it had to be something they could remember. And also, it wasn't written down very often, because if you were found with a copy of the pirate code, you were a pirate and you get hanged. It wasn't a very good idea. So it was all word of mouth. So we'll come back to the pirate code a bit later on. The interesting thing about the pirate code is there was no... So the pirate code changed from ship to ship to ship. If you look at it, between the ships and over the period of time, there were the same things in each pirate code. It didn't actually, there were things changed around it, but the core of it remained the same, which is amazing. There was no sort of like pirate wiki where you could go and see what the latest pirate code was. Now, pirates also collaborated to scale. So they were working. Oh, right, okay. So they were hugely outnumbered by the Royal Navy. So the Royal Navy had, you know, 45,000 people at the beginning of the pirate period when they were still fighting the Spanish. And a single pirate ship wasn't very big, it's only 80 people. So what they do is they collaborate. So a pirate captain would say, I want to do this, and the word would go out on the grapevine, and then they decide, other people would say, yeah, we'll come in for that, we'll come in for that, and they'd put together huge numbers of people. And they could do this very, very quickly. So Henry Morgan, he of Captain Morgan's rum, they drink rum, right? He assembled 2,000 men under sail, and they basically took over Panama City and robbed it of everything, and then buggered off again. Okay, so that's quite a number of people at that time of. And another famous pirate, Blackbeard, who everybody said was murderous pirate, never killed anybody, just, you know. So he did a lot of this in his short period. Two of the things he did, so they took over Charleston, they sacked Charleston and took all the money from it. And in the 1718 pirate crisis, he basically shut down the east coast of America because they were so terrified of the pirates with all the shipping. So this was revolutionary at the time, that you could have these independent entities all coming together. Does it sound familiar to you at all? Any parallels here? Maybe not so much with the, you know, sacking of towns. And so this is what, there's a sociologist that he mentions in the book. She talks about critical connections. So the main thing was that all these pirate captains, they all knew each other, so they could communicate very, very quickly. And his sort of lesson here is that don't aim for big, aim to be connected. Because if you the problem we have in a lot of organisations today and a lot of things we have, sort of institutions we have, is they're just too big now. We have this thing where everyone's trying to grow, and as Frederick Laloux says, in other circumstances we call that cancer, and things are just trying to grow all the time. And so this is a way of, using collaboration to get a critical mass to be able to make something happen. Oh.
That connected? Right, more connected. Isn't that nonsense? I like pirates.
Yeah. Right, so rewriting the rules. So what the pirates did was they didn't just get rid of the rules, they wrote new ones. So the whole point one of the things he's saying in the book is we need to not just break rules, we do need to get used to breaking rules, but we need to come up with better ones, we need to rewrite them. And that is the point about mutiny is mutiny is overthrowing the status quo and that, but after that act of destruction you then have to go through this act of creativity to replace it with something new, and by doing that attracts other people to you because they see what's going on, they think, oh yeah, I want some of that. So what rules could we rewrite? So what he's advocating here is this sort of actually looking at daily life and saying, what are the rules that really, are stupid and that we could just do something different about? How can I break a rule today and do something different? Just to get used to this idea of challenging things and thinking of different ways of going about it. So, anybody got any ideas?
Working an 8-hour day.
Working 8 hours, yeah.
What's that job?
Working an 8-hour day.
Sorry, do you mean only 8 hours?
Break that rule.
No, where does it come from?
Oh,
Why
it's
do we do it? What's it?
It's over 5 days a week as well, why?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a 7-day week, didn't it?
Yeah.
One big rule that got rewritten recently was only women were allowed to take maternity leave. Paternity leave or share.
Yeah.
Let's have a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
4 days.
Why not?
3-day week.
Yes, that's better.
That's coming.
That's better.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things like why do people have to record their holiday entitlements and lots of
Why do they have to?
record their holiday entitlement. If they're doing their job, why can't they just take their holiday when it suits them?
At some stage, we were not going to have to work to get remuneration.
No.
Quite close. At some stage in the near future, like the next 50 years, it's highly likely that people will just get paid by the government and not have to work for that. Machines.
Well, we're a lot closer than we are at the moment because lots of people are doing bullshit jobs.
To come out with the idea of cancelling all benefits, but everybody is supplied with enough money.
Yeah, universal.
People would work beyond that and be taxed.
Yeah.
But that's revolutionary for a right-wing think tank.
Yeah, I know.
So, okay, let's so here's some modern pirates. So who's this? Right. Okay, so these are the pirates that, to run a radio station at the time, you had to get the approval of the Lord Chancellor, and he wasn't going to say yes unless your name was BBC. So, and they created this massive demand for popular music that led to the BBC eventually introducing Radio 1 and reordering the rest of their radio stations.
The transistor radio made it possible.
Yeah.
As a boy, I had a tranny.
Yeah, but before you had a transistor radio, but you could only listen to the home service or the light programme. Right. So you couldn't get the charting music because it wasn't being broadcast. So they filled that gap, broke the law, filled that gap, and that's why we've got commercial radio today as well, which happened in the 70s. So who's this? Napster.
I don't know, who is he?
Do you know what this is? So, music sharing, digital music sharing. So this is back in the day when it was illegal for you to record your own vinyl onto your own cassette for your own usage. And Napster said you can digitise your music, upload it up to our platform, and then you can share it with other people. You could download their music. And
Legit?
what?
Is that legal and legitimate?
Well, it wasn't at the time, and the music industry tried to close it down. But when Steve Jobs came along, he basically said, well, you might shut down Napster, but there'll just be another one, because this is the way the world's going. So why not work with us? And that's how we got iTunes and Spotify and, you know, the world we see today. And then...
I thought that undermined the artists
Once it goes up,
trying to make a living.
Royalties from the platform.
That's it.
Right.
Is it yours or isn't it?
Yeah, so we like the time.
Okay, we've skipped on here, actually. Let's go back.
It's got...
Oh,
Okay.
no, hang on. No, there should be a slide there. All right, the next slide was of Pirate Bay, which basically did the same thing for video as for Napster, as Napster did for audio. And Pirate Bay not only led to things like Netflix, because it proved that that model worked, but also things like iPlayer. So the BBC said, well, that's showing us that we have to go down this path. And it's opened the door for everything else we see. Who said this? Anybody? No?
Oh, I see.
Who said it?
Captain Sparrow. Oh, I've heard it before.
Steve Jobs. It's actually, it's on the front of his book. It's on this book. There's a quote at the top. Steve Jobs said that. I'd rather be a pirate than join the Navy.
Yeah, actually makes sense.
On the day when he died, they flew a pirate flag over Apple HQ. So you could think of other modern pirates. I think the guy who invented Bitcoin is a modern pirate, right? That's going to revolutionise the banking system. So yeah, you might want to think some more. What's happened to me? Clicker. There we go. Okay, so back to the pirate code. So this is the articles of William Kidd, who you may know better as Captain Kidd, on a pirate. She's in about the middle of that period. So here's some of the things that were in the pirate code. And I might read out a couple of them for you, just so you can see. So fair injury payouts, I said earlier. So it said, you know, if you got your leg cut off, you got 800 pieces of 8. Inheritance. So it says, you know, if someone gets killed, then their wealth is passed on to whoever their attorney decides. Oh, sorry. So the new... I'm having a few technical issues here. Right, new business bonus. So it's basically, here we go. That man who shall first see a sale, if she prove to be a prize, shall receive 100 pieces of 8. To be paid out of the whole stock before any dividend be made. So very short and simple and clear.
Every incentive to be in the lookout.
Well, for everybody to be on the lookout, yeah? Yeah. The coward clause, so if you were proved to be a coward, you didn't get your share. Right. The drunkard clause says if you got drunk before the prisoners were locked up, you didn't get your share. So obviously somebody did get drunk and all the prisoners escaped on some occasion. And this is part of the way that they updated this to take account, you know, learn from their mistakes and stuff like that. You've got the no rule breaking, which for a bunch of rule breakers was quite interesting. So that man that shall breed a mutiny or riot on board the ship shall lose his share and receive such corporal punishment as the captain and major part of the company shall think fit.
It's not at odds with the democracy we were just talking about.
Sorry?
Is that, I'm trying to work this out.
No, because they would have a vote then, right? So if someone's started to cause a treason or a mutiny,
Right.
and they get caught, then they'd get together and say, right, what are we going to do with him? And they'd agree it, and then they'd do, you know, kill him, keel haul, whatever.
Drag him under the hip.
Kill. That's where they drag them from the front of the ship to the back, underwater. Yeah. Right. So no thievery, So if any man shall defraud the company to the value of 1 piece of 8, shall lose his share and be put on shore, the first inhabited island or other place.
No thievery from themselves.
Exactly. So honour amongst thieves, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And fair shares for all, so that what money or treasure shall be taken by the said ship and company shall be put on board the man of war, and there be shared immediately, and all wares and merchandise to be equally divided among the ship's company. Right? So it's pretty impressive stuff, isn't it? This is before the American Declaration of Independence, before the French Revolution.
So, Colin, I don't want to sound really silly, but so did the pirates make up a lot of these, or were these already around, but in more civilised society?
No. The pirates made these up, right? So the very first set of pirates set out what their pirate code was, and it got passed along.
When you're on a ship, you're completely isolated from all control and authority. You're in a lawless zone, so you can make up your own rules.
Yeah, but they'd come from supposedly society where they'd been abused and they rejected those rules and said, right, we're going to have our own rules and it's going to be fair. Yeah, arguably.
Like Cossacks, they were escaped serfs.
Yeah.
And privateers and whatever, but they developed into a well-respected fighting force with their own rules. And
The pirates were privateers, weren't they, basically?
Yeah.
Well, they were
Used by governments as well to tax.
Yeah, it depends. So some of the pirates worked for the governors of the American colonies, and they were actually, it's all very. It's the usual thing. If the people in power are happy, you're allowed to do it, and if they're not happy, they're not getting their share, then you're a pirate. You're a terrorist or whatever. Yeah. So he has a guy in this book coming up with the pirate code for today, which I'm not totally sure he's nailed it, but so make shit up. So he's basically saying,
is this what Steve Jobs wrote?
No. This is this guy Sam Conifalendi, because he comes from a social entrepreneur's background. So he's saying, let's stop being driven by the data and logic and actually use our intuition more and have a go at stuff and just try stuff out, be more creative. So I think it's a pretty reasonable one. Don't bother with business plans. Don't get trapped in business plan hell. Just get out and do stuff and make things happen. Make the citizen shift. There's a thing called the new citizen framework. I can't remember exactly what it's called. So this is the idea that we are currently all consumers. That's why we have the problems that we have. We need to become citizens and adopt a completely different set of behaviours. I don't know if you've come across this before, anybody. It's very interesting actually to look at. So there's a whole thing about that, what that means. He cheats a bit. Oh, this one's right. Take happiness seriously, right? So the epidemic of anxiety and depression, and let's be serious about being happy. This is a bit of a cheat. Adopt the New Work Manifesto, which in itself has got about 10 different things in it. But it's basically saying things like, we should only work a 40-hour week. That people should expect that from work. They shouldn't be under the pressure they're under now. They should expect to be treated reasonably and stuff. And embrace diversity to raise your game. So diversity leads to better decision making. We all know lots of reasons for that. Interesting thing, diversity also allows people to be their authentic selves, because there are much fewer cultural norms. There's much fewer shared experience. You don't get that. What's I'm looking for? Groupthink. You don't get people. There aren't the norms there for people to move towards. They just be themselves. All pirates were highly self-actualized. That's why they wear such ridiculous costumes, right? Because they're just being themselves and being pirates and being very happy and drinking lots of rum. So, this is a question that he asked. Like, what three? If you had to make out your own pirate code, what 3 articles would you live by? But I thought another way of looking at this is, if we were going to do something in BeColl and do a collaboration, what if we had a pirate code for each thing that we did? Every time we came together to do something, we say, right, what's our pirate code to do this? So I thought we could have a bit of a conversation. How much time you got? Okay. So one of the ones that I would put on there, right? So this is I'd say no surprises.
Surprises can be good though.
No. So what I mean by that, so I would say, right, I don't mind you making a mistake, but I do mind you not telling anybody about it. There's nothing, that mistakes are acceptable, right? But mistakes that you haven't shared with people, if you made a balls up, then let us know, because then we can do something about it. It's about transparency. Sorry?
Like I said about mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar. Like I said about the banner, there's a mistake. Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but no, but if you'd had someone do that for you, right, and so you've gone to a big show and you've used it and you put it out, and they never told you that, they knew they'd made the mistake, but they didn't tell you about it, and then you got, someone started ripping the shit out of you on social media, you'd be a bit annoyed about that, wouldn't you? And why didn't you tell me beforehand? I wouldn't have mind. I bought a new banner. That's not a problem. That's what I mean. So for me, that's critical. And it is really about authenticity and transparency. But it's just a rule that I would put in. So I mean, I don't know if anybody's got any other thoughts of things they might.
Forgive fast.
What was that? Forgive.
Fast.
Oh,
Same as like
yeah.
fail fast. Yeah, but forgive, like, if someone's,
Yeah, over it.
yeah, like, that you move, as a culture, you move
Yeah.
forward quickly.
Yeah.
Rather than holding on to, but Colin, last time you did put us, all that unresolved stuff.
I'd say never make it about you. It's not about you. It's always about someone else. So if you want to take an action and you have a worry not to take it, the worry is you make it about you. Never make it about you.
Leave the ego at the door.
Never make it about you. Always about that. As soon as we talked about when you go earlier about the visibility thing, sharing thing. If it was not about you, you wouldn't hesitate to do. If you wanted to do a live or a tweet or whatever, you wouldn't hesitate. Unless you're an evil person that doesn't want others to grow.
How about be your best, or similar to that, aim higher?
Yeah. Okay. Can we?
So
how would we say?
Be extraordinary.
Okay, but so we're coming together. So it's coming together. We're going to put together an event or whatever, right? So how would we frame that so that we all knew, like?
Do your best. I'd say do what you say you're going to do.
Deliver.
That's sort of be your word, isn't it? You could say. I think that's a different thing.
Stand and deliver.
That's what you call it.
So I would say. So who was it? The last thing we were talking about. I'd say it's something like like aim to over deliver, or aim to delight, or always look to do more. I don't know, something like that.
I steal one from taking unlimited imagination.
Unlimited imagination. Okay. So you could see, I mean, I think this is quite an interesting way of looking at things, because you can come up with these. So we could talk a little bit more about what all of these mean, but you could remember those, couldn't you? It's a little manifesto for that project. So you can call each other out on it. You can say, you gotta let go of it, Angela. We know. I know Erkan didn't buy you a sandwich yesterday, but just let go. Just. Or you can say to people, like, hang on a minute, you're just letting your ego get in the way here. Let's step back a bit, remember the bigger picture. You can use these things to actually have an open and transparent conversation. Because I think the openness and the transparency and the fairness are really what underpinned the success of the Pirates and should underpin the success of Collaboration.
What I come out to it's like you said, it's 3 easy things to remember that we're all going to agree to. So it's not like some long, big administrative, detailed drill. It's like the overall. I mean, no surprises to me. We've got to trust each other.
Yeah. And be open and honest.
We make mistakes, let's move on. And if someone is operating from ego, you can say, "Boy, mate, I think you're more." It's very kind of simple to kind of go. you know, apply that in a team very quickly.
Yeah. And it's a good, having a conversation about this, of course, gets you through that sort of norming and forming stage very, very quickly. And then you can start really performing.
Could combine a lot of those into three, which would be don't lie, don't cheat, and don't fail.
Natural law.
Yeah. So there you go. It's all about being a pirate. Being a pirate is all about being yourself, but if you can't be yourself, be a pirate.
Hurrah!